Welcome to Act Out. I'm Eleanor Goldfield, and this is your tipping point. From collapsing ice sheets in the Antarctic to unseasonably warm temperatures in the north, at both ends of the Earth and everywhere in between, climate change is accelerating at an alarming rate. Tack onto that Donald Trump's plans to gut government-funded climate science, and you get this week's very fucked fact. Operation Icebridge, a NASA survey of polar ice, is underway, and to say that the results are alarming would be an understatement. On Friday, the Icebridge scientists announced the discovery of a 70-mile-long, 300-foot-wide rift in the Larsen C ice shelf, located in the western peninsula of the Antarctic. Other portions of the Larsen ice sheet collapsed in 1995 and 2002, and climate scientists have been speculating for years that this third portion's days are numbered as well. NASA reported in a recent press release that once the rift cuts through the ice shelf completely, it will produce an iceberg roughly the size of Delaware. Elsewhere in the Antarctic, Ohio State University climate scientists reported last month that part of the West Antarctic ice sheet is collapsing from the inside out. And while rifts normally appear at the edges of ice sheets, this internal rift is a strange and therefore highly unsettling new development. Ian Howitt, associate professor of earth sciences at Ohio State University, reported, quote, "This implies that something weakened the center of the ice shelf, with the most likely explanation being a crevasse melted out at the bedrock level by a warming ocean." Howitt added, "It's generally accepted that it's no longer a question of whether the West Antarctic ice sheet will melt, it's a question of when." And when that does happen, climate scientists predict the resulting glacier will cause global sea levels to rise as much as 10 feet. Meanwhile, at the North Pole, temperatures are a record-breaking 36 degrees above normal. For the Arctic regions, winter is not coming, and it's already having measurable effects on the formation of Arctic ice that usually takes place at this time of year, which in turn means that surface ocean temperatures remain warmer, perpetuating a dangerous and vicious warming cycle. While sharing a graph of this year's sea ice formation compared with previous years, climate scientist Eric Holthaus tweeted, "Folks, we're in a climate emergency. Tell everyone you know." Which brings us back to that putrid pile of orange pus and the long shadow that he casts over the planet's future. On Wednesday, November 23rd, Bob Walker, a key advisor to the Trump campaign, told The Guardian that Trump plans on scrapping NASA climate research in an apparent crackdown on, quote, politicized science. Walker suggested that climate monitoring was better left to other agencies like the EPA, which the president-elect has also promised to completely fuck up under his administration. Trump, who famously tweeted that climate change is a Chinese plot to weaken our economy, seems to have a particular vendetta against the Environmental Protection Agency. At the end of September, Trump selected Myron Ebel, a climate change denier from the Competitive Enterprise Institute, a libertarian think tank, to head up the EPA's transition team. Ebel, who has no scientific qualifications whatsoever, believes that we should remove all current restraints on fossil fuels, no matter the cost to the climate. Meanwhile, last Monday, Trump met with two possible EPA administrator candidates, one being Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt, who not only has a track record of taking the EPA to court in regulatory feuds, but also said that the main thing he's looking forward to under Trump is, quote, regulatory rollback. Also on the potential roster is Kathleen Hartnett-White, a woman who recently argued in an op-ed that carbon dioxide isn't a pollutant. The truth is that our bodies, blood, and bones are built of carbon! Carbon dioxide is a necessary nutrient for plant life, acting as the catalyst for the most essential energy conversion process on the planet, photosynthesis. Now, I think in order to test this theory, we should put her in a room with nothing but CO2 and a small potted plant. You know, because she is so sure of that science behind her statement. However, the science behind climate change is apparently a little too shaky for her. At a congressional hearing last April, she said, quote, "I think the elimination of fossil fuels as rapidly as possible would have enormous impacts across the world. But the science that supports the need to do that has to be extremely robust. I think that the current state of climate science is not strong enough, nor are the key models validated in order to support policy of that magnitude. And since only 97% of scientists agree that not only is climate change a thing, but that it's also our fault, and how many scientists suggest that pumping carbon dioxide into the environment is a good thing? I wish I could actually tell you, but when I tried Googling it, all I got was the number to a psychiatric help hotline. But these are the psychotic dipshits slated to run or be part of the Environmental Protection Agency. Although, as Trump economic advisor Stephen Moore, the co-author of Fueling Freedom, Exposing the Mad War on Energy with Frau Fossil Fuel Hartnett White, as this fellow shitbrain pointed out last week, quote, if she doesn't get EPA, I could easily see her as the head of the Council of Environmental Quality in the White House. Let it not be said that we don't have our work cut out for us. And again, as I mentioned in an earlier episode after election night, this is the silver lining, if you could call it that, activating people in the face of the most egregious and horrendous traits of our society. This is undoubtedly a fucked fact, indeed, several fucked facts, with no shortage of low-life scum. And the only thing standing in the way of continued climate destruction is you and me on the front lines.